Views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff or management of the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast.
Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's show. I want to start by thanking you all. On Monday, we officially reached 1 year. We've done 53 podcasts, 4 of those video as well, and we just started that. Big things are ahead. We thank you for being along for the ride. Please tell a friend. We're at the Hive in the 21C Hotel in Bentonville talking with the super energetic executive chef Micah Klasky. Here's a great interview. But before we get to him, food news. An unusually busy week of food news, both good news and bad. We'll kick it off with the good, though. Last Friday, Casa Magnolia opened its doors in downtown Springdale. They have coffee, baked goods, ice cream, all of that's inside. They've got a Yeyo's food truck parked right outside to get your meals, and they also have a Two Friends bookstore inside where you can pay what you can for a book, basically. And the bookstore is well represented, according to Casa Magnolia owner and executive chef Rafael Rios.
We actually have books in Marshallese. We have books in Spanish, and we have books in English. And through the help of Two Friends bookstores and Rachel and Monica, we are gathering people, clubs from around Northwest Arkansas to come and hang out with us. And we have multilingual read clubs as well.
Speaking of Chef Rios, his Yeyo's at 8th Street Market is closed temporarily because they're currently expanding into the space previously occupied by Cocoon Yoga Lab. Congrats to former longtime Fayetteville Food Truck Dot's Nashville Hot Chicken. They are now fully open at their new brick-and-mortar location at 2229 East Huntsville Road in Fayetteville. They're open 11 to 3 and 4 to 8 Tuesday through Saturday. Now for the not-so-great news. Pilas Coffee House in Springdale officially shut their doors this past weekend. On a social media post, they said that recent challenges have made things difficult for them. There is hope, though. They did say that this isn't the end for them, just a pause. Doomsday Coffee in Siloam Springs also closed over the weekend. They were originally closed for a bit to get some projects done with the hope of reopening at the end of February. This weekend, there was a sign in their door saying that they were permanently closed, and their Instagram account confirms it. That said, the one in Fayetteville is still open. And finally, it was announced yesterday that the Fat Chef at Prairie Creek has closed. Owners Richard and Christine Fleener made the announcement via their Facebook page. They had been in business for almost 4 years. Micah Klasky is from the Dallas area, but spent his formative years growing up in Jonesboro. From a very young age, one of the TV shows he grew up watching was the greatness of Justin Wilson. Now, if you've never heard of Justin Wilson, just look him up on YouTube. He was an exceptional Cajun chef, and boy, could he spin a yarn. You'll see what I mean if you look him up. He was the best. So Micah was destined to cook, obviously. He started making his way through the business because of a mentor that he connected with early. This, by the way, included a seasonal work trip to the East Coast. Micah will explain that one. He'll also tell you some of the best advice he's ever given and gotten, and it's advice that I've given. You'll hear. Also, what got him from Little Rock to Bentonville in 2014? He'll tell us. He's also super passionate about No Kid Hungry. He talks about 2 fundraisers he's doing for them, including a chef's dinner with some insanely talented chefs coming in, and there will be some Michelin stars represented at the dinner. I'll post more on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas Instagram and Facebook pages later today so that you'll be able to check them out, donate, or get tickets. It's Micah Klasky, and it's at the Hive, and it's next, right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
And welcome back. We are in Bentonville at the Hive at the 21C Hotel, and we are with executive chef Micah Klasky.
Hey,
Mike,
how's it going?
thank you so much for your time, bud. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Well,
a pleasure to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Yeah. So we were trying to hook up last week. Snow and Mother Nature had other plans.
It got a little rowdy outside. Got a little slick.
Did get a little rowdy.
Yeah,
I felt like I was twisting your arm a little bit for me to come out and do this.
And
I'm so glad you're like, no, dude, that's not going to happen. That's a
no,
bad idea.
Yeah, you sent me that email that was like, yeah, I'm still down if you're down, and I was like, man, maybe not. Can we push to next week? I really hate to do this. So I appreciate your flexibility.
Listen, it was the right thing to do.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Yeah. But you guys had to stay open. You're a hotel.
Well, absolutely. That's one of the beautiful things about being a hotel, and like having the multiple outlets, and we just because the roads are closed, people are still here. People are checked in already. People are in the building, and so we want to make sure they still have a sense of hospitality. They still feel comfortable. They can still like if you're in from out of town and the roads shut down around where you're at, what are you going to do to get something to eat? Not everybody knows there's a Walmart 2 streets over, or and then every other restaurant in town has a tendency to do what they can and close. You know what I mean? Which makes perfect sense for them.
For sure.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have not only with the being able to stay open to offer the guests these things. We also we welcome anyone around the area. Anybody adventurous to make it out. We'll usually run a limited menu. We put our employees up in the hotel, and we do what we can just to be able to still be a place for the community.
Oh, and that's what I was going to say. Hopefully you don't live far away, but I guess if they put you up in the hotel, you're good to go.
Well, I am very fortunate to live about a mile and a half from here, so I can make it.
Nice.
And then also I've got some very adventurous folks on the Sioux team. So, some.
Isn't that usually the case though?
It's nice. Yeah. They're rowdy. They're ready to get down. And willing to drive, willing to commute. But
That's great.
So we go from having say 5 people at night to 2 people on the line, just cranking it out, getting it done.
That's great. Well, I'd like to start from the beginning. Where are you from?
I'm born in Dallas, Texas originally.
Same.
But moved up to Jonesboro, Arkansas in first grade, I believe. So around that timeline, was in Dallas, lived in Rowlett.
Sure.
If that means anything to you.
I
don't remember much about I remember Rockwall and Rowlett, and that's about it. We still go down to see my grandparents every once in a while when we can.
Lake Ray Hubbard? Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
There's water. There's water there next to the big rock wall.
Summer League baseball. That's what comes to mind for that.
Yeah. About the same here. Yeah, we had I think we had the Klasky plumbing baseball team branded shirts.
Nice.
There's a picture somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Well, you threw me off on that one, but that's great.
Yeah.
So did you always want to cook?
I always had an interest. One of my favorite stories to tell is I remember being in diapers, standing at the end of my parents' bed, balancing myself, watching Teddy Ruxpin, The Frugal Gourmet, and Justin Wilson. So
how about you can't go wrong with Justin Wilson?
No. I mean,
still on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to look him up. I mean, the man does great work and tells amazing stories. Humor and cooking. So right up my alley.
For those that don't know who Justin Wilson is, he's an old school Cajun chef from way back in the day.
I tell you what.
Yeah, exactly. Long gone from this earth, but let me tell you, his shows remain on YouTube, and he is unbelievably great.
Oh, look it up. Exactly. I would say, and I still turn some of the cooks onto it. And if anybody, there was this fun time where I was having an argument with somebody about how you pronounce the word andouille. They were insisting it was andouille, and I was like, no. And they're like, it's a French word. I'm like, it's French Creole. I'm like, it's going to be different. And I literally found this perfect clip of Justin Wilson saying, andouille. That's how you say it. What are you talking about? And it might be the most perfect response I've ever had in meme form.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So from Justin Wilson on, you knew you were going to be a chef?
Well, I was interested in it. I always, it was one of those things where, you wind up back at the house with all your friends getting rowdy. And I've said rowdy like 6 times already in this.
It's all right. I want a lot more.
Yeah. Heard. Well, good. Because apparently it's my word for the day.
Great.
But we'd always end up back at the house, and it was one of those things where, you start digging through the cabinets, trying to figure out what you can put together, and I just really enjoyed it. And, my first couple of jobs were in restaurants, and just kind of got bit by the bug. So fresh out of high school, skipped town, went to culinary school a couple of times, and dropped out pretty shortly.
Yeah.
Had a lot of bad habits back then, much different person.
Of course. We all did.
I was pretty rowdy.
There it is.
But now there's gonna be a dramatic pause.
I love it.
I say it now.
Do it.
But no, so yeah, I just enjoyed cooking for people. I knew what it meant to, like to be able to, hey, come on, like that excitement of somebody. Like, I remember making bagel sandwiches at 3 a.m. for, like all these people, and everybody was just like, oh my God, you're blowing my fucking mind, man. So, I got bit by the bug, and I just really enjoyed it. And then, got into a few kitchens here and there. I mean, I've came and went multiple times. I mean, I had many different jobs. I was, I've been a dishwasher, landscaper, janitor. I pretty much just kind of did whatever opportunity presented itself at the time, and got really lucky and landed in a kitchen with somebody who was invested in what they were doing. They were excited about it. They were passionate about it, and I bought in and sort of just followed that from there.
So, now, is this in Jonesboro?
It was.
Okay.
Well, so, I went from working at this little, casual fine dining lunch spot to working in a country club. And at the country club was who became one of, my first major influence, mentor, Chef Shane Henderson, who is Benny Keith nowadays. He's the corporate chef for Benny Keith.
There you go.
And he had just got back from Johnson & Wales and was working, he was the executive chef at the country club I started working at. And we kind of hit it off. And then shortly after, he was like, hey, I'm leaving. I'm moving to Little Rock to take over this spot. You want to go? And I was like, sure.
How old were you?
I mean, I was 20, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that, 21, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess I say that. Who knows, man? Who knows? Time's all blur back then. But yeah, no. So it was a great move. It was one of those things where I kept kind of talking to him. I was like, yeah, you're not gonna screw me on this, right? I'm gonna follow you there. I'm gonna go. I'm down, but you're not gonna screw me on this, right? I'm not gonna get there. And he was like, I'm not gonna, man. We're good. So
very fair.
Yeah, literally. Went from us working together at the country club to I moved up there. I put my stuff in an apartment and went to work. Like it was that same day. Like there was no organization. It was literally push all the boxes inside and then go jump in the car, figure out how to get to work, because it wasn't on it. You didn't have the phone back then. You had to like ask gas stations and get a map out. And so I went to work and worked my first grill shift ever on a live fire grill that night, and just. I wouldn't say I burned and crashed and burned, but I barely made it.
Let me tell you, is that what hooked you in at that particular moment, thinking, okay, I think I can do this?
Oh no, I was already hooked in, but I definitely appreciate going from just working saute at a country club to cranking out 5 different proteins on a wood fire grill in a different city. Like the pulse, the pound, and the energy and just getting down. I was like, okay, I made the right choice.
What kind of wood were y'all using?
I have no idea back then.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. I'm gonna hope oak.
Listen, I worked at a restaurant, and it was pecan wood, and you could smell through the whole restaurant.
Yeah.
The whole thing just permeated.
This building was beautiful. It was great. And it was, somebody had rehabbed an old building and turned it into their own little restaurant.
Nice.
And it had a lot of nuance and a lot of character and a lot of wood to burn and a lot of meat to grill.
So how long were you there with him?
I was there with him for probably a year and a half, maybe 2, if that. He actually left that place, and I stayed on.
Okay.
So I stayed on, worked with the next chef who took over, stayed on as sous chef, had a lot of freedom, a lot of responsibility, and really enjoyed that. And then an opportunity came up for me. Basically, Shane, the chef that had left, he had left to take over a catering company at that point. Okay. And pretty much sent me or called me one day. I was about to say sent me a text. We weren't really texting that actively back then. But he was like
333-444-8888.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can do it without looking, but you swerve a little bit.
Right.
But he pretty much sent me a message. Was like, hey, you want to work in Rhode Island? And I was like, absolutely, let's do it.
Like the state?
Yeah, the state. So essentially, when I mentioned he had gone to Johnson & Wales up there, so he had this job that he had worked, in between seasons, and I guess they were looking for some help for that year, and he basically teed it up for me. So I moved to Rhode Island for a season.
Interesting. How was it?
It was great. It was nonstop. It was basically sun up to sun up. So, I would, get up in the morning, go down there, and I would prep from about 7 to about 9.
Wow.
And then I would take off for a couple hours, and then I would come back and close it down, and then, go out and binge drink all night, and then get up and do it all again the next day. When I first moved up there, I was I was living in the chef's spare room.
Okay.
And then as it progressed, the ownership allowed me to move into what was essentially a studio apartment behind the building. So, no, it was great. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, like, so if you picture where living with the chef, we're living in this, sort of community kind of thing.
Okay.
And then living behind the restaurant, we're living on this little peninsula that is nothing but, a few mansions and the strip of restaurants, which, there was basically us, a couple of little boutique shops, and the nation's oldest carousel, I think. And an ice cream park.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly. But you could literally, we could tell business on certain days by the amount of boats in the bay across the street. Like,
how great.
Directly across. So I would get up in the morning, and I'm living literally on the backside of a gravel path that, like in a house. The bottom is an art studio.
Interesting.
The top is their office, and then the other side is just a room with a bed in it. So that I lived in.
There you go.
So basically, I would get up, I would go down, I would work in the morning to prep. Get that little break in the middle, I would run up to my room. I would go to this little secluded private beach, lay out, and
nice.
Let the breeze hit me for a couple hours, try to wash off that hangover in the ocean, and then I would get up, go back, and then burn it out for the rest of the night, and then rinse and repeat like every day.
That's great. That's great, especially that age. What's better, right?
I mean, it was perfect for me. It was, I was doing a job that I'm very interested. I'm very excited about. You know, like I thought I knew what. I was at that age where I was like very everything. Confident. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But also, it was like the opportunity to sort of, and I think it's very important for everybody to get off, be alone for a while.
Absolutely right.
Go put yourself out of your comfort zone.
10,000%.
Yeah, really figure out who you are as a person.
No question.
And just see what the rest of the world has to offer, kind of thing.
I spoke to some college kids last October, and that was the top thing I recommended for them. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go somewhere else. Go where you know nobody.
Right.
You and your U-Haul, maybe your dog or whatever. Mm-hmm. Get a place. Start.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do.
Exactly, because then you really get a true sense of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Very much loved that. Made some great friends. I mean, nobody I still talked to. I remember we were getting ready to leave, and my small view of the world whenever I got up there to, and
sure.
The people I'm working with are a lot of like, sort of, I guess townies might be the word, but basically people who were from that area that this was just sort of their summer job. They went back to their mansions afterwards. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So we had somewhat different world perspectives. I remember being at the bar and just being like, man, all the music here is the same as back in my town. I don't know why that didn't make sense to me. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Of course it is. Of course they're playing Journey in this bar. What are you talking about? And I'm like, you're right, and I can't argue with that, but it just never clicked in my head.
It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I am not a worldly man.
Which is why you need to get out and go.
Exactly.
Right.
Go out there, experience some other places, some other, some somewhat other cultures,
Sure.
It gives you, I think it gives you great perspective on what the world has to offer. It gives you great perspective on where you're from. Mm-hmm. I remember, like you grow up in the South, you move up to the North, and everybody's like, oh, you bunch of redneck racists down there.
Yeah.
But, you get up into the North, there's still just as many angry racists up there.
Yep.
It's just covered up in Nana's from the old school, so that's just how she does it. I'm like, nah, that's
exactly right. Yeah. No, I hear you. You're right.
I remember I got a really bad sunburn, and I came out of the walk-in cooler one day, and the owner was like, redneck. And we just sort of had that moment where we stared at each other, and he was like, because the sun, and I was like, oh, I get it. And just kind of went about my day.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I preach that. We do a lot of work with kids around here. We work with BHS. We work with the Ignite students. We work with the not the JAG program anymore, but we work with students from the alternative school essentially.
Sure. Okay.
Gosh, it's bugging me that I can't remember the name of the program.
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
No, yeah. It's everything in me not to just start Googling it. But Jason Swim over there is my main contact.
Gotcha.
And basically, so, we have the kids come over here and, we'll give them a tour around, sit down, do a Q&A. I think whenever we first started, it was just sort of, it was one person, like myself, just leading the kids around and then sit down, hey, Q&As. And I've since, sort of incorporated every member of leadership team I can. So they're not just hearing from a culinary perspective. They're hearing from a rooms perspective. They're hearing from our GM. They're hearing from our engineer.
That's great.
And so, they get an opportunity to kind of hear about getting in the industry as a whole instead of just culinary. Because, there's so many opportunities. But one of the things I like to preach is find something that you're into. Find something you enjoy. Don't let go of the dream. But find something you enjoy that you can do while you're working on that dream, because you never know if that might turn the corner and become what you want to be about.
Amen. Absolutely right.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
It's a great message. So you finish the season in Rhode Island.
Finish the season in Rhode Island.
What's next?
Well, everybody was 100% sure I would not be coming back. And
what, here or Rhode Island?
Well, back here.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. Everybody was pretty positive. They were like, you're not, okay. Well, it's nice knowing you. We'll never see you again. And then, but no, to go back to Shane, he basically, we were kind of talking, and he was like, well, I could use some help if you're coming back, but you just let me know. So, I went home. I went back to Little Rock and landed back with him, and landed in the catering company.
Okay.
Stuck around there for a little bit and kind of realized that might not be the world I want to be in, culinary wise.
Sure.
Catering versus working in a restaurant are
way different.
Are a little bit different,
Yeah.
right? One is just mass production, getting the job done, doing the work. Whereas in the restaurant, I like to think there's a little more there's a little more nuance, a little more finesse. They're both super important. 100%, and both great avenues to take. I'm not that guy. I would much rather be on the line, be in the kitchen, work with folks, to my left and my right, and kind of like get a chance to really, that immediacy of, I sell a plate, that person eats it, I know they're, I can get their feedback immediately.
Sure.
As opposed to, all right, there's 150 people out here.
Right.
I'm going to wait a week to see if anybody's mad.
Right.
So the passion of it, of just being able to, have that immediacy of the flow of service and all that was much more for me. So, stayed with that for a little bit, and then wound up sort of jumping over to the Capitol Hotel.
Okay.
Where they had just done this massive renovation. They had brought in a lot of talent. So that was Chef Lee Richardson had taken over as executive chef there, and the amount of talent he hired in that building was insane. That's going to be where I met, Matt McClure, who I would end up working with here, Cassidy Dabney, who is just pure talent, Matt Bell, Travis McConnell, Tandra Watkins. A lot of
talent has gone through that place.
I mean, just a lot of people who were so good.
Oh, yeah.
So good and so into what they were doing. And I remember thinking I knew how to cook. And then I got over there and I was like, oh, shit, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I come in.
That's great.
It was another one of those milestone markers, those turning points where it was like, okay, I'm good at what I do. I know I'm good at what I do. And that's where I really sort of opened my mind to the, be confident, not cocky kind of mentality. Because I got broken down real quick there. There was very much like, oh, yeah, okay, bud, that's cute. Let's do it the right way. I'm a firm believer that we're all just basically a collection of the places we've been. My whole culinary outlook and culinary style is nothing but the chefs and cooks and dishwashers that I've had the opportunity to work alongside over the years. So this was another great place, another great quill in my cap, and a great bunch of people to truly learn under. So, hired on, I think I started on the saute station at night. And then eventually worked my way around to being the tournade, or the knockaround guy. I would work every station on people's days off.
I believe they call that utility infielder.
Heard, yes, exactly. That was what I didn't want to get too technical. So went from that to, went from just, working that one station to the tournade to eventually got promoted to the banquet sous chef. So, I was responsible for, execution of all the events in their multiple spaces, as well as I became the guy who, I made the gumbo for the bar. I made all the charcuterie in-house.
Wow.
So pretty much every day off, I would find myself a new project to come in and work on. So
oh boy, one of those.
But I loved it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I was burning at both ends, but that was exactly where I wanted to be.
Well, and I was just going to say, that's you've already said it. That's where you met and worked with Matt McClure.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden, maybe an opportunity pops up in Bentonville.
Well, worked with Matt. Worked with so many people, and honestly, and I'll tell this to everyone.
Yeah.
McClure and I didn't necessarily click.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's one of those things we often joke about. Who would have guessed after all these years we would have wound up together? You know what I mean? Like,
That's great.
Would not have been if you would have looked at us back then. Probably not would have.
I had no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I consider him a great friend, huge ally, and a great mentor. Like he was one of those people who, a lot of people have taught me how to cook. He had a huge impact on teaching me to be a chef.
Oh, wow. Okay.
From professionalism and just accountability. He really is. He's an amazing leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought there.
No, it's good. No. That's great. And I guess you find out that there's an opening here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, well, basically what it was he was leaving to open this place.
Okay.
And I remember him doing his tastings and all that stuff, and everybody was very excited for him. And then he was like, "Hey, man, you wanna come up to Bentonville and open this thing?" And I was like, why the fuck would I want to move to Bentonville? I was like,
okay, let's just set the place here real quick. It's 2014.
Yes.
It's 2014. It's not now.
It's a different Bentonville.
So right. And you've got to have a little bit of a vision to be able to see what it would become.
Absolutely. Well, I'm the dude who's loving his life in Little Rock. I'm going out every night. I'm going to concerts. I'm enjoying, I went from living in the small town to living in what I consider the big city.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
I'm really enjoying myself. I mean, because even Rhode Island, that was a tiny little, it was basically a fire district where I was living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Move. He was like, "Hey, you want to go up there?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. That sounds terrible." I'm like, "Why would I want to do that?" So, cut to a couple years later, and I'd since left the Capitol Hotel, and I was working at this little family-owned spot called Maddie's Place.
Okay.
One of the original executive sous chef from the Capitol when I started there had left to open this pretty shortly after I got there.
Gotcha.
But we had stayed in touch. Super cool guy. Came up with Emerald back in the day when he was really building his empire. So he's been very influential. Helped him write the HR codes, all that stuff.
Nice.
He's a rowdy guy.
Hey, imagine that.
Rowdy. He wanted to leave. He wanted to open this small little spot and do good food without too much pretense, just sort of a little turn and burn New Orleans style Creole spot.
That's great. Yeah.
And was doing solid food, and it was time for me to leave the Capitol. So I make that move, go over there with him for a couple of years, and then eventually I'm ready to I'm ready to kind of try to get back into it. I'm ready to refocus. I want to be more. I value where I'm at. I like where I'm at, but I want I want to get back to that, try to run for that James Beard. I want to get back to that, be able to apply a little more finesse, a little more, I don't want to just be turn and burn anymore. I want to get back into refocusing on my chefdom or whatever you want to
call it. I think it's all part of the yearn for creativity too.
I mean, somewhat. I mean, not to say I didn't have creative freedom there. Like Brian was a great leader. He put a lot of faith in me. He pretty much wanted to come in, make sure things were right, work a lunch station, and then go on and raise his twins. He was
if you can do it.
Exactly. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he figured out how to get there, and more power to him. You know what I mean?
If you can do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So eventually it came time where I was, I told myself I'm ready to refocus. I'm ready to double down.
Sure.
I'm ready to sell out a little bit. I just kind of need to get paid more.
Yeah.
So I start talking to some folks up here. I'm looking at places, I'm talking to country clubs, some of the standard sort of we'll throw a bit more money at you.
Sure.
And it might not be I'm realizing I'm contradicting myself a little bit here. Sell out versus refocus. So realistically I was ready to sell out. And then once I start talking to places up here, I come up here and and I'm have dinner here, and I'm talking to McClure, and he's like, "Well, I actually have a spot coming open if you're interested in it." So it switched from selling out to the refocus.
Okay.
So I got my little got a little separate.
Sure.
Which meant So I came up here, I did the stage, interviewed and all that stuff, went through, nothing was given.
Sure.
And it worked out. We came to an agreement. So, like I said, it went from ready to sell out to ready to refocus. Came up here and, started out in the morning and then went from the morning to the night. And then from, sous chef to chef de cuisine for about 6 years. And then, when it was time for McClure, made the decision to move on.
Yeah.
My running joke was I always knew I'd take your job, but I thought it'd be because you'd move up, not out.
Yeah.
Again, went through all the hoops and all the interviews and the tastings and all that, and the good folks at 710 or the corporate were decided that maybe he might be right for this spot.
Did you get a gut feel once you left, thinking in yourself, to yourself, not necessarily to everyone else, but did you, because a lot of times, and I've said this in other podcasts, I know a lot of chefs that have that chip on their shoulder, and the best chefs have a chip on their shoulder, the ones that keep driving and working hard. Did it hit you at that point where you think, this is mine to lose? It's right in front of me. I've just got to get it.
It was that. I mean,
in your mind, there's some of that. That's the case.
No. I mean, there's definitely some of that where it's like, okay, I feel like I was confident that I felt like I was the right person for the role.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I'm very much a yes chef kind of mentality. So if they would have told me no, I would have accepted it. This was honestly not the first executive chef role I had applied for in the business or in the company.
Okay.
I felt like I was ready. It was, and I feel like I'd been ready for a few years. I was one of those cooks / chefs who, coming up, I watched so many of my friends leave and take over restaurants and go, and take whatever more higher paying job they could find, and that wasn't necessarily the trajectory of my career. Yeah. I was always more interested in, okay, well, that place is cooler, or we're doing great stuff over here, or I've still got a lot to learn, or I want to see what this person's all about. So I would follow opportunity for growth a little bit more than opportunity for monetary return. And I think it served me well throughout my career.
Sure.
And I think that understanding the position I was in here before he left translated well into the position I wanted to have here. I mean, I very much I was so lucky. I so lucky. Like, you don't get lucky like this. You don't get lucky. No, I'm not going to do that.
Keep going.
No, never. I hate it. I'm so ashamed of myself. But I got a turnkey operation. You know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
I'm not the, I've been here I think I'd been here for 7 years whenever I took over. I've been here. I just hit my 10. And I'm not the only one. My leadership team in the kitchen, 4 out of 5 have been here for over 10 years.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. We have a culture, and we are established, and that comes with, it's a double-edged sword,
Of course.
But I've been so fortunate to work with so many talented people in this building that it makes life so much easier. Like being able to take over and just know that I had such a great team with me. Like the first thing I did was put everybody's name on the menu.
Yeah.
Because
it's great.
Nobody does this on their own. I'm not an island. I don't expect to. I'm not going to sit here and try to preach like I. Like, it's one of the things. Like, it's a we. We're all in this together. We're all trying to do the best we can, and we all do pretty damn good.
Yeah, you do. You ready to talk food?
Sure.
Let's do that. We've got the Micah Klasky Home Pro Tip of the Week. That's coming up next right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Connect with us at Flavors of Northwest Arkansas on Facebook and Instagram, or by email at flavorsofnwa@gmail.com.
And welcome back. It is time for the Micah Klasky Home Pro Tip of the Week. For that, we go to Chef Micah. What do you got?
All right. So I'm gonna do a couple.
Okay.
All right. One of them is for the let's say you had a big hustle of a day. I forgot the word. What was the word I've been saying over and over again? It was rowdy.
There you go. You didn't pause.
Yeah, it was rowdy.
There it is.
I'm gonna work on my gruff. No. So one thing that I used to preach this whenever I was like the single dude living alone. Might not be great for a full family, although you can fit a good amount in there. But buy a rice cooker.
Yeah.
Buy a rice cooker, because you can cook more than just rice in there. What I would do is I would go home and I would basically make like a quick Mexican chicken and rice, and pretty much just put your rice in there, put your seasoned chicken thighs on top of the rice, close it, cook it, and everything comes out perfect. Your chicken thigh comes out like if it was braised by
Really?
Yeah, it's everything comes out perfect, and it is a solid meal. You pull it out, eat some get yourself some tortillas, you're solid, you're set.
Interesting, because I've got a rice cooker, and all I've ever done is rice because I'm not that imaginative. But ooh,
yeah, I mean, yeah, and you could even just get yourself some of those, some of those, if you want, if you're like fold some spice into the rice,
sure.
Or fold, even just throw a can of beans in there with it too.
Interesting, that makes sense.
Stir it all together, put like I said, the chicken thighs on top, and they will cook, and it will be perfect. Like in my experience, maybe I've just gotten lucky, but every rice cooker I've ever done it with, it works out nice.
I've got to try.
Yeah,
I've got to try.
So that's like quick meal, quick facts. Be sure to cover it in lots of hot sauce.
Dig it. That's great.
Valentina. Valentina hot sauce.
Oh, okay.
That's the move.
Okay.
And then also my second tip would be open a window and sear the shit out of your steaks. Don't be afraid of it. Open the window, set off the fire alarm.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to really lean into it because it will be worth it in the end.
It will.
I feel like there's been so many times where I've gone to cook a steak, or I've been with somebody and they go to cook a steak in a pan in their kitchen, and it's just like, it's basically boiled in its juices because they're afraid to smoke out the place or to get it hot.
I like a bark.
Yeah, exactly. I want a bit of a crust. I want it nice. So my what I would say is get yourself one of those little tiny side tiny fans.
Yeah.
Prop it up in the window by your as close as you can get, and just crank that pan up.
And that is not a tip for just Mrs. Flavors of Northwest Arkansas, because she's it's getting smoky in here.
Yeah. No, you really got to live. You be ready to face the consequences. Be ready to face the people on the couch in the other room.
Worth it.
They might cough and sneeze through it at the time, but once they get the steak, they're gonna be like, okay, it's worth it. It's worth it.
We'll be right back.
Your story doesn't have to end. As an organ donor, the good in you can live on. In fact, you can save up to 8 lives through organ donation. Sign up to give the gift of life after you're gone. You'll be happy you did. Just maybe, someone else will too. Sign up online today as an organ, eye, and tissue donor at organdonor.gov. It saves lives.
OrganDonor.gov is the destination that you need to check out if you haven't. It's where you get signed up to be an organ donor. As most of you know, I had a kidney transplant in January of 2022. Kidneys are only 1 out of 8 organs that can be transplanted. You can also transplant a heart, liver, lungs, pancreas. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
I didn't either. Pancreas, intestines, corneas, and heart valves. Real simple. Get signed up. OrganDonor.gov. You can also get signed up through your health app on your iPhone, or get signed up at the Department of Finance when you declare on your license, or if you're outside of Arkansas, the DMV. Thank you, as always. And we're back, and we're about to talk food. Are you ready?
I'm going to try. I usually just pretend like I know what I'm talking about around here.
All the lies. The lies.
Well, I'm just a figurehead.
So, how would you describe the style of food here?
There's a lot of.
Is that fair?
Well, no, it's fair. It's fair. It's one of those things. It's an internal struggle for me because I like to basically the canned answer is we are New South.
Okay.
We are high Southern cuisine. We try to do take familiar
Does that feel like it gets put in a box a little bit?
I think it's a little bit more boxy than I would like to be, because realistically, we do pull from a lot of the inspiration. Like, what is the South anymore? You know what I mean? I mean, whenever you think about just the cultural relevance and the cultural significant changes that have happened in the South, and what even is your definition of the South? Is it just general South? Like, does it go all the way to Nevada? Or does it cut off?
These are all fair questions.
Exactly. And there's organizations that will answer those for you, but I'm not the guy. But basically, we like to draw on influences around the region, and Northwest Arkansas has a lot of those influences. You might not think about it that way, but the Indian population, the Islander population, there's the Asian population, the Hispanic population. There's so many different great cultures to draw inspiration from with respect. So we like to incorporate a lot of those influences. So I worry that if by just saying a blanket high South, that sometimes it can be a little misrepresentative of what we like to do.
People don't necessarily recognize and or realize all the beautiful pockets that are part of it.
Exactly. Yeah, people aren't gonna see a curry spice on the menu and think, oh yeah, this is Southern my ass. You know what I mean? So we like to, like I say, we like to draw inspiration from the area we are. The way the bow I like to put on it is, we like to do food that is unpretentious, that is familiar, that hopefully has enough of something new that you're going to talk about it later.
That's great.
I want you to come in. I want you to be able to look at the menu and say, okay, no, yeah, oh, hell yeah, pork chop, that sounds great, or hog chop, or steak, or you can find something on our menu that is going to pull you in. Sure. It's not, I don't want people to be intimidated by the menu. I've been at plenty of those restaurants where I walk in and I'm like, even as a professional in the business, I'm like, what? Google, right.
Exactly.
So I want people to be able to come in, sit down, and feel comfortable, not just in their space, but in their minds, in their hearts, and to feel the hospitality that we hope to provide.
For sure. I want to talk a little bit about breakfast and brunch. Obviously, as we said earlier, you cover all the meals here.
We cover all the meals here. We are open 364 days a year.
Wow.
Yeah. The one day we are somewhat closed is Christmas Day, and that is.
I had Halloween.
No, yeah, well, we debated it. But everybody likes to dress up a little too much.
Okay, fair enough.
So we, the restaurant might be closed, but we're still open for room service that day. So there's always somebody here.
That makes all the sense in the world. Breakfast and brunch, I've got to ask about sorghum sausage.
Sorghum breakfast sausage, mainstay on the menu. It has been one of those things that we make with pride and love here, and it has. It's one of the few items that hasn't seen a crazy amount of iterations over the years. It's been pretty much steady throughout our time here, and it's because it's delicious. It's good. It's dialed in. It's great.
You and I were talking before we hit record, and I've got this old, a trillion-year-old family cookbook. And one of the things I see in a lot of the recipes is sorghum, and you just don't see that a lot anymore. You guys are bringing it back into fashion.
Well, it's one of those ingredients that a lot of people just don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think if you just called it molasses, people would be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I get it."
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, right. We've always, sorghum has been on our menu from the start. I think that's one of those ways of finding an ingredient that is true to the region and trying to utilize as much as possible. Ideally, we're using as much local product as we can. Not always going to be 100% by any means. Probably not going to be 90%. Yeah. But whenever we have the opportunity, we're gonna try to continue to use something that is representative of the where we're from.
It's great. House-made bagels for the bagels and smoked salmon.
Yeah.
Tell me.
That is, that's a passion for me. So, growing up, my last name is Klasky. I am of Jewish descent. Okay. On my father's side, so I don't technically qualify. But, like non-practicing by any means or anything like that.
Sure.
But growing up in Dallas, there was a Jewish deli around my grandparents' house.
Same.
Bagelsteins.
Okay.
And so growing up, bagels were one of the things that I could always. I think about going to Granny's house. It's bagels, stuffing, and ice cream sandwiches, and those are like the three things. Like, not necessarily that wasn't one meal, but you could guarantee while I'm there,
could be
I'm gonna get a little bit. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So we would make trips home. Whenever we moved up here to Arkansas, we would make trips back to Dallas, and we would literally fill coolers with Bluebell ice cream because you couldn't get it everywhere back then.
True.
And Bagelstein's bagels.
Love it.
Yeah.
So great.
So over the years, just it's been one of those things that I've always talked about forever. Of like, I want to make a delicious bagel. I want to work a place where we can make a delicious bagel with all the accoutrement. I want all that stuff. I want everything. Like lox. And soon enough we're gonna roll up pastrami and corned beef. And that sort of thing.
Heck yeah.
But we have the team here. who is very talented and able to pull it off. We're making it. We're doing a little bit of a twist. We're making a sourdough bagel with our over 100-year-old starter.
Holy crap!
Yeah, we call them century. Anything that's made with it, we call it century sourdough because our starter was a gift to us from a friend that we did some events with a few years back. That was gifted to their family, and it was originally the starter was purchased at the World's Fair.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So for the most part, we're the goal is to. We're are we making our cream cheese? No, but are we incorporating some flavors into there? Yes. Are we?
That's great.
Making our house-made smoked salmon as often as possible? Yes. So it's a great addition to the menu and something I'm super jazzed about.
Absolutely, that's amazing.
And then plus, you can buy it with a flight of champagne. So why wouldn't you?
I mean,
if that's not brunch, I don't know what is.
What else do you need?
Champagne and cream cheese. Come on.
Absolutely, I'm with you.
Right?
I love it. I've got to ask about chicken liver mousse.
Chicken liver mousse.
We're talking lunch now, by the way.
Yeah. Well, we're talking lunch, dinner. That's the chicken liver mousse is it's another one of those things that's been on the menu since inception.
Okay.
We work with Spencer from Across the Creek Farms, and we use his livers. So they're cleaner than you would expect, I think.
Okay.
I wish I could take credit for the chicken liver mousse, but that was one of those items that whenever I came up here to eat before I started, I remember taking a bite and then I'm just being like, holy shit, this is perfection.
Yeah.
Well, how did they do this? What is this? What is the secret here? And
love it.
Yeah.
That's so great.
It's one of those delicious items that just is not going to go anywhere. And I'm a big fan of charcuterie. I'm a big fan of preservation and all that sort of stuff in general. So to be able to execute a chicken liver mousse in such a refined way that is smooth, well seasoned, flavorful, everything about it I just love.
Interesting. That's great. And of course, I got to mention again, I'm going to beat you over the head with this. I already have sorghum vinaigrette used on the salad. Mm-hmm, I mean, you're sparing it. You're hitting it everywhere.
Well, it's we like
Why
to,
not?
Exactly. Well, the goal is to once you hit 3 of the same word on the menu, maybe you got to make some pivots, but we can get away with 2. But no, the sorghum vinaigrette, again, it's another one of those things that's been on the menu, for pretty much since inception. It's one of those where it is a delicious, the sorghum's a delicious little product.
Sure.
The vinaigrette is tasty, it's tangy, it's sweet, and it complements the bitter greens just as good as you could want.
Perfect.
And it's one of those items where we have threatened to take it off the menu multiple times, and every time we just find a way that it's no. It's still too good. It's still every time.
Hanging in.
It's one of those things where do yourself a favor, go to your favorite restaurant, tell the chefs or whoever that, hey, this thing I love it, because you never know, it might be hanging on the chopping block, and
Absolutely
then that
right.
might save it. And that
Absolutely.
has happened more than once.
That cannot be said enough.
Yeah.
On this podcast, it cannot be said enough, because I was talking last week with some folks that were like, you can't. It was Venetian Inn. You can't take things off the menu there because they've been there since 1947.
Right? Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Well, and everybody's always so eager and so willing to share negative things. Which, don't get me wrong, we thrive on negativity. I make it a point to ask every table, what didn't you like? Because I don't necessarily gain anything from you telling me things are delicious.
Yeah.
I know they're delicious. No, not really. But no, it's one of those things where I think as a culture, it's just been ingrained in us to never say anything negative, only find something positive to say. But we don't grow from that. We don't gain anything from that as chefs in the kitchen.
Sure.
So my goal, and people look very shocked whenever you say, all right, well, what didn't you like? There had to be one thing that didn't live up to what your hopes were.
Yeah.
And then I kind of live by like a rule of 3s almost. It's like, all right, 1, okay, cool. A little bit of feedback, heard. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
2, all right, maybe some, but after 3, we're going to really have to deep dive and sort of try to figure out, is it working, is it not? Because overall, I can love something.
Yeah.
It can be one of my children. It can be something that I want to keep on the menu, and I want to, the bagel board. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we will pull it off, even though it is something I'm extremely proud of.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about. I always kind of try to say, it's not my job to be cool. It's my job to feed people delicious food, So, if something I'm excited about doesn't work, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not everybody. I do not like beets.
Okay, yeah.
But everybody and their mama loves beets, so
Well,
they are going to be on our menu.
I'm probably not the biggest beet guy myself.
They knock the wind out of me. They literally pull the air out of my, like the dirt, the flavor, like a real earthy beet. Like I get the appeal. It's not for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of with you there.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. Let's talk pig. I love a crispy pork sandwich, and you guys have one. You also have the hog chop. Same place?
Same place. Yep.
Yeah.
So essentially, we've been working with Sean Bainsley out at Bainsley Berkshire Hogs for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
We got a great relationship with Sean. Sean does great work. I mean, like, worldwide recognition for the quality of that man's pork. He
great.
does great. Not only does he take care of those hogs, but he takes care of the clients as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I need something, Sean's there for us. Like if I've been clamoring because I can't get a whole hog skin on in this region anymore right now.
Oh.
I clamored enough to Sean. It's back. So
Nice.
I'm very excited. We're going to start be able to get, hopefully, well, I'm going to say this. He's going to be like, why did you say that on the air? Now everybody's asking me for these hogs. So I only have 2. Maybe cut. So Sean, getting to work with Sean and his family and the work they do out there, they raise great hogs.
Yeah.
And they're kind people and respectful. And,
That's great.
Delicious product. And we always love to, like the hog chop is a mainstay. You're going to find that in some form on our menu, no matter what. And then, with that hog chop inherently comes trim. So breaking, we get the full loins.
Yeah.
So, you can only break down so many bone-on chops from a loin. So you're going to end up with some offcuts, some pieces that don't quite meet the size requirements to be that hog chop.
Sure.
A part of the responsibility of a chef is to figure out how to utilize these things. And so that crispy pork sandwich was definitely, came of that.
Nice.
We can, we will make rillettes, we'll do all sorts of other things. But yeah, that crispy sandwich, which, is essentially a Milanese, really hit the menu and was immediately just sort of enveloped with warm, loving arms.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Nothing better. And by the way, it's the time of year right now for the braised collard greens, the food to warm you up.
Yeah. Well, and we're hopefully,
Which is on the menu. Sorry, I didn't mean to just abruptly switch to that, but continue.
No, you're good. You're
Yeah.
good. Anything
For
else
those
you're really
listening.
into? Just go ahead and hit me. We'll see what we can do. It's definitely comfort food season. Nice warming. I mean, ideally, we're getting into that. I don't know if I want to let the outside fool me.
I'm going to knock on the wood.
Do it.
Say it. I know. You can say it now.
No, yeah. Well, anyway, the weather's starting to warm up. It's going to get really nice outside.
I hope it stays that way.
It's not going to.
I know.
One of the things we like to preach around here is letting the fields tell us when to change the menu as opposed to the calendar.
Okay. That's cool.
Because realistically, like tomatoes, they were wicked late this year. They kept coming wicked late this year, and it didn't make any sense that we and it felt completely inaccurate and wrong for us to still have those on the menu at that time.
So a lot of people were saying that, by the way.
Oh,
and
yeah,
a lot of people were doing that, and my tomato plant kept going too.
Exactly. I mean, but if the hits are still going, why are you couldn't quit the band? You know what I mean?
Don't do it. Keep playing Freebird.
Exactly. Yeah. People love it. So the braised greens this time of year, you can count them to be there. You know? Nice, turnip or collard greens, some of our house smoked bacon, onions, brown sugar, all that goodness. We don't necessarily make ours super sweet, which, there's a few fields of thought or camps, whatever,
Sure.
That a broken analogy or whatever the word I'm using. But they're delicious, they're I would say more savory than sweet, but they're balanced. They've got nuance. They've got just a little bit of heat, a little bit of acidity, some tang to balance out that sweetness.
And finally, I've got to ask about the house-made pakari.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce it right?
I mean, I want to say Google agrees with you. We've thrown around a few. It's pakari, pakari.
Okay.
It's
pasta.
It's a tasty house-made pasta,
and it's a big hoopy pasta.
It is a big hoopy pasta. Yeah, it's like if you blew up a macaroni noodle and straightened it out a little bit.
Yeah. It's pretty much it.
Yeah. So we have a it's one of those pastas that we sort of try to cycle through shapes and shapes and sets. But realistically, we have an extruder back there in the kitchen that we make. So this isn't a hand-rolled pasta. This is a semolina dough that is put into a hopper, mixed, and then extruded almost like a Play-Doh Fun Factory.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is, a great...
It's like a die cast.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, it extrudes it, pumps it out, has a little cutter that goes around with it. And it's become our new favorite shape to do is the packery for some time now.
It's great.
Because we went from Campanelle, which I think once our die kind of decided it was done, we switched to the packery and we're like, oh wait, no, this is really nice too. Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. That's great. Where can folks find you? Online and in person?
Usually here at the Hive in Bentonville, downtown. Right. Yep. Don't let the construction fool you. You can still get in here.
Absolutely. I proved it.
Yeah, exactly. It only took a little bit of hitchhiking.
That's it? A little bit?
No, and very excited, honestly, once that construction, it's all encompassing right now, but man, once that gets through and we have that pedestrian walkway right out front,
perfect.
Very excited. Really looking to lean into, we're expanding our like breakfast offerings a little bit.
Nice.
Looking to start offering a lot more like grab and go pastries and the like.
Nice.
Which realistically, and this is excuse the shameless plug if you don't mind.
Please do.
But Ennismore Accor, which is the parent company of 21C, we have this program called Disloyalty. So basically, it's like it's our loyalty program, but disloyalty. Wink, wink. But you can literally, I think it's like $15 a month.
Okay.
You get a free cup of coffee every day, and 10% off food and beverage. Like I'm like, why are people should be coming in here?
Yeah.
Pay your subscription, come in, get yourself a free cup of Onyx every single day. And hopefully grab, some lovely croissants or muffins or scones or, whatever. I said scone, very, very high right there. But you know what I mean? Like it feels like it just makes, so that's, I'm very excited about the pedestrian walkway.
If you do that for a week, you make your money back on coffee
Easily. And we've only got a couple people who really take advantage. And I'm like, come on.
Insane.
Like,
well, once that opens up, it'll probably make more sense.
Exactly. It'll make a lot more sense whenever it's a lot easier to get to the front door. And but
gotcha.
That's I'm excited about that. I'm excited, honestly, to be able to offer those grab and go pastries and such because I love those. And there's not really necessarily like I can't, I'm a sucker for a croissant or or a pain de chocolat or all those flaky, delicious,
listen, man,
fresh baked pastries.
Fresh made.
I just fucking love it. So good.
Fresh made croissants, still warm.
Still warm.
Forget about it.
So good. And hot coffee. Oh my god. Oh shit. It's gonna be so good.
Thank you. Thanks for sitting down with me.
My pleasure.
Thank you for ending it on that absolute high note. It couldn't have ended any other way.
It's destiny. It's destiny. You know what I mean?
You can find Flavors of Northwest Arkansas on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. I'm sorry, please, go ahead.
We never talked about No Kid Hungry.
Oh my gosh, please.
That's
please
my
do.
biggest plug.
Please do.
That's
I'm so
my biggest plug. No, that's my fault.
No Kid Hungry.
Yeah.
It's your big platform, and it's amazing.
So we've been working with No Kid Hungry for almost 10 years, and pretty much one of the things that I knew whenever I took over was that we were going to continue to work with them.
Yeah.
So not only have we continued to work with them, we've expanded. So not only are we doing the guest chef dinners, which we've got one coming up on March 15th with some amazing chefs.
Nice.
I'm talking Michelin stars.
Nice.
And James Beard Award winners. And coming to cook in this house, it's going to be insane.
Outstanding.
But
where can they find out more about that?
They can find out more about that on our website, or you can find some links on the Hive's page, or you can go. If you follow me on Instagram, it's my M Klasky, so first initial last name.
Okay.
And I'll post some stuff on there. But so not only are we doing the dinners, I'm participating in Chef Cycle now. Also, last year was the first year, 3 days, 300-mile bike ride. You when you sign up, you agree to pay X, to raise X amount of money for the foundation.
Nice.
And last year we freaking crushed it.
Nice.
Last year we raised over $80,000 to help fight food insecurity in children in the United States.
Very nice.
So hoping to crush that this year.
Yeah.
The bulk of that comes from that dinner, and then we will be fundraising until after the ride at the end of June.
Let me know when that starts, and I'll post it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have started. Like we've I
will share it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've there's you can either, if you're we go to the dinner, which I would highly recommend. It's going to be so freaking good.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like I'm, like I said, multiple Michelin star chefs. Chefs traveling in, so pretty much the way it operates is we have, so we have a couple local folks, myself, and I've got Travis McConnell from the culinary school coming over, who is leading their butchery program.
Yeah.
And then I've got one of the other chefs from 21C coming in on the Durham property. She's just super talented, Melanie. And then we've got Kelly Whitaker out of Colorado. We've got Diego Galicia out of Texas, who got one of their first Michelin stars.
Wow.
And the pastry chef for Ashley Christensen from Pool's Diner in Raleigh.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be an amazing dinner, great time, beverages, auction, all that stuff.
Awesome.
So I would say, we have many different tiers of ticket purchases. And then also, if you're interested in donating to the cause and you just can't make it, like you can also, give at the Chef Cycle page.
Okay. There you go. And I will post the information as well on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas on Facebook and Instagram.
I appreciate it.
And I'll try TikTok. I'm just not really into that yet. I'll figure it out.
Well, by the time you get the hang of it, it'll be gone, right? it'll be the next thing. You know what I mean?
Then, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Great.
Please tip your servers. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.